What is going on, everyone? That's Zach.
Yeah, that's on me.
That's on you.
Literally. What was
How
on
about
me?
that? Joke's on you, camera's on you. But hey, how we doing? Welcome in to the Ryan Ripken Show and happy Friday. Congratulations. We are at the weekend, or at least about to, and we can take you into the weekend. But we got a lot to talk about in the sports world, which typically isn't the case this time of year as far as baseball's in full swing. Drafts in a week, which, that's going to pick up some buzz. But we got a lot of guests that are joining us, people that you'd love to hear from. And then got a little more banter that wasn't expected. But in a day and age where you can go on a podcast and talk about some things that can lead to further discussion. And boy, were things cooking on that front. So we're going to start the show off in this sense. And Zach, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I just can't hear myself.
I was going to say, I can hear you. Are you?
Oh, you can?
Yeah, can other people hear? I can hear you through these.
Oh, perfect. Well, that's all that
I
matters.
was going to say, this is reading you, so it's
perfect. But overall, we're going to have, this is how it's going to rock. We're going to have a thank you. See, BT
sound
Raven,
fun.
thank you.
All right. Thank you for the.
Are the O's fine, though? Just kidding.
Not innings 1 through 8.
Yeah, they're a ninth inning ball club, depending on who you ask. But today, we're going to do a little Ripping It segment brought to you by our friends over at CQ, a little bit of financial advice. There was a couple cool moments. The Ravens unveiled their jerseys. That was the cool moment from last night. We do have a Jackson Holliday update. And if you don't trust this source, then I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
Because if it's not straight from the horse's mouth, it's pretty close to it.
Damn close.
Then we did sit down with Dylan Beavers earlier today talking about a whole bunch of things, but two specific baseball topics that are hot for Orioles fans and baseball fans. Approach at the plate, and how about the outfield situation and the challenges that you have to do to learn different outfield positions. Then we're going to have our little poll talk before we welcome in former Oriole, and now he's hosting the Halo territory. That's Mr. Mark Trumbo, a Trumbomb from Trumbo. That'll be great. And then there was that Zay Flowers podcast discourse. That's what I was referring to. You can go on somewhere and talk. Well, Zay went on with Jarvis Landry and Leonard Fournette.
Playoff Lenny.
And let's just say he had some very choice words when it came to how John Harbaugh ran his practices. So I said, you know what? Let's bring on one of our guys that is so articulate with expressing the emotions behind words, but also he played in an era where, talk about the boys practicing hard. They practiced hard. The Missile, Qadry Ismail, is going to join us to talk about that whole incident and more. So if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Bali, how we doing? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Yeah. Doing well. A lot of great discussion earlier this morning with Beavs. Awesome to hear just kind of his take so far on him personally. And I think he was very real with a lot of his answers on kind of good and bad throughout his early career. Yeah, Friday. Thank the weekend. Hell yeah. That'll be fun. But yeah, just stoked. Just stoked. I'm excited to talk. I'm excited about this, honestly, to hear Q talk about Zay Flowers' comments, because I can tell this is one of those classic things where Q is either going to be like, this is nothing, absolutely nothing, or this is going to set Q off. And I'm excited to see which it is. I'm sure he'll give us a million different things of like, if you just do this workout, you'll never get injured again in your life. So excited to hear Q talk a little ball today.
Oh, and he's going to be fired up. Last time we had him on when he was fired up was the whole situation with the Ravens before the end of the season, but when they lost some tough games, the Ravens' identity, Q didn't hold anything back, and it was fantastic, and that's what we appreciate. And also, I'm seeing in here, Dylan Beavers is in the lineup tonight, and you're asking, is he sick? He actually was.
We can confirm he was.
We can confirm. and like,
sick.
And he was sick.
Yeah.
So we're glad he's feeling better. Obviously, he's a boost when he's in the Orioles lineup, and he's still trying to figure things out at the big league level. This is his rookie season. And last year, got 110 at-bats, which is nothing when you look at the grand scheme of trying to figure out how to be a big leaguer. Before we dive into all of that conversation then, Zach, let's then rip it a little bit, brought to you by our friends over at CQ. We appreciate you. We appreciate CQ. I'm going to keep trying to make that work, whether it does.
One day it's going to. I don't know if that's today, but one day.
One day. That's all I can ask for. Well, every week we try to have a CQ type of moment. And so each time we've had great guests this week. We've had Dylan Beavers. We had Hakeem Butler join us, which we will play some of that interview. If you're recognizing that name, Hakeem Butler is on the St. Louis Battlehawks of the UFL. But if you're also wondering a little bit of a deeper dive of what's the connection, he's a Baltimore native from Baltimore, huge Baltimore sports fan, and a tremendous story. So we're going to play more of that clip later on. But we're going to play some of the financial advice from Dylan Beavers, Hakeem Butler, because we already dropped the one about James McCann. So, Zach, why don't we play the first one from Hakeem Butler on financial advice as we're moving forward when it comes to money and controlling your finances?
Ooh. Man, well, I'll give you two. There's okay, yeah. The checks don't come forever. Those big checks when you're in the league, they stop at some point. So you have to be prepared for that. And I would say just last thing would be pay your taxes. My rookie year, there was a tax situation I had. I made some money off the field. You know, I'm completely oblivious to like paying taxes for. I thought they already took the money out. You know, when they gave it to me, there was a tax situation. Luckily, I got a great financial advisor. He's from like the Pennsylvania area, and he saved me as much as he could. But pay your taxes, and those checks don't come forever. So definitely be wary of your finances always. That's what I would say.
And that's the part of it. I'm with you. I think the reason why we're doing this, by the way, is we're trying to help the younger generation. And, you know, I'm going to be selfish and say it's helping myself because we want to normalize conversations like this. Same thing when we talk about with mental health. People are afraid to talk about their own circumstances, which later on, Hakeem, with part of his story, he has had a lot of struggle personally, not just of what's happened on the field, but in his life, a lot of trauma at a young age. But financial conversations don't have to be scary. Hell, dude, I am learning so much now that I wish I knew then. So we asked Hakeem there, and right there you heard, checks don't come forever, and pay your taxes. Make sure you have an understanding of that. Well, then Dylan Beavers just took it another step further. Very simple, but very real. So, Zach, let's play that clip.
Answer, but whatever money you do make, you know, it will be taxed. So I would, you know, for me, I think be aware whatever you make, just pretend you probably only made about half of that. Just so you don't run into problems there.
It might seem stupid to some, but I tell you what, in the contracting world, so Zach, for me, when I was working when I was playing, I had taxes taken out of my contract when I was playing. That's not for every single circumstance. When I got into all this and being a contractor, you get paid, but then you have to then give your tax estimate to the government, right? So it might seem dumb, it might seem stupid, but at the end of the day, we're trying to help the next generation because sometimes life can seem hard, it can be frustrating, and you can think, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, which, you know, if I ask you, Zach, you might think that of me a couple times here and there, but that's for a whole different time. We want to normalize these conversations, and CQ, proud sponsor and partner with us and the University of Maryland and Towson. we're going to work on normalizing these conversations to make this easier for everyone out there in our community. We care about the community, so do they, and we're going to try to make that a better place for people to learn about their finances. So appreciate them. And James McCann was, don't cash money that you don't have in your bank account.
All great advice. All fantastic advice. So far, I think we're batting 3 for 3 on that.
3 for 3, man. I'm telling you what, I think a lot of people would like to see some 3 for 3 in the lineup tonight. Get to that in just a moment.
Take a few 1 for 3s. That's for sure.
And that's the part. You can't be 1 for 3 when it comes to the finance side. You really can. In baseball, you can. In finances, you kind of have to know as you go, or you're going to learn some tough lessons. But that's life. That is life. So we appreciate CQ. Now, moving forward, Zach, why don't we talk a little bit of baseball?
Let's do it.
And I know we got some cool moments with the jerseys in the NFL, but I think let's save that for when we have Q coming on, because that's fine. There was some moments, but it doesn't move the needle for me in this case.
No.
What moved the needle? Or we almost saw a no-hitter last night, baby. But for the other team.
I will say, is there anything scarier for an opposing team than having a no-hitter against the Orioles in the 9th? Because that might be the literal Orioles got you right where they want you. We have now seen back-to-back times. We were so close. If the second baseman doesn't make an unbelievable play there to stop the 107.5 grounder up the middle off Basayo's bat, it's a tie game. If Pete's home run or double goes 5 feet higher up that big wall, it's a tie game. If Gunner's sac fly goes 5 feet further for a grand slam, that's a tie game. The hitless Orioles in the 9th might be the best team in all of baseball. It's weird, but it's true.
Did you see, I think it was Sarah Lang's tweet about the Orioles and being no hit and that being a theme over the last few years?
It has been. Trust me.
I got to go and find that tweet because someone shared that with me. I'm trying to go back to find it. It's not a good stat.
It would be the opposite of a good stat.
Nope, that was about a different.
Is it that we are the
it's
the Orioles are the 3rd team in the expansion era since 1961 to break up a no-hit bid in the 9th inning or later, 3+ consecutive seasons.
Yeah, that's one. And then followed up with the Orioles are the first team to break up a no-hit bid in the 9th inning twice in a span of 40 or fewer games, since the Blue Jays did it twice in 11 games. That feels good. And that was actually back in 1989.
I was going to say, I was like, can I spin zone this? And was that last year? And can I say they went to the World Series? No, you can't.
No, you can't. No, you cannot. And last night it was Leody Taveras that broke it up. Hey, the Orioles battled back. They did their thing. They tried their best. They gave 110%. And they almost made the comeback. I mean, Sam Basayo hit a hard chopper up the middle. That diving play by the Guardians saved a tie game. But too little, too late. Guardians win the opener of the series. Yes.
Blue Jays won the AL East and lost in the ALCS in 1989. I'm just saying. I'm not saying it out loud. I'm just putting connections there. If you would like to put them together, that's up to you. Yeah. What can I say?
So what you're telling me is the Orioles are going to, at minimum, the ALCS. That sound good for fans? That's pretty good.
I would take it.
How about that? I don't know, Jim. Well, we don't know about that yet. We got to play a lot more baseball games. But I think we're starting to figure out a little bit more about Jackson Holliday and the Jackson Holliday timeline, because Jackson said he'd be lying if he didn't feel 100%, came up to Baltimore, and then the word was he was going to restart his rehab assignment, and people were a little bit worried. What's happening? What's going on? Well, we're hearing directly from a source that's close to the source.
Yes.
And you know, it's not Jackson Holliday, but it's probably just as close as you can possibly be for the guy that understands baseball. How about his dad? Matt Holliday today or yesterday, I don't remember which time this clip came out. I think it was today, right, Zach?
I think maybe recorded yesterday. I saw it come out this morning, though.
So we saw it, and Matt Holliday was on the Cardinals territory, I believe, and was asked about his son Jackson when Matt Holliday gave an answer on Jackson's rehab process.
Such a tricky injury because he had the surgery, and it's such an integral part of hitting, and so he was working, obviously coming back, and he had some soreness on the opposite side, which, as you guys, as sometimes there's you kind of compensate with some stuff. So his wrist on the opposite side got a little bit sore. So he was in Norfolk, and then now he went back to Baltimore and got some reassurance that everything was fine. And then, he just had some inflammation on the other side of his wrist. And so taking some anti-inflammatories, and then he's going to go back on rehab. I think he's going to go to Frederick maybe today. I don't know if he's playing tonight, maybe tomorrow and Sunday, and then reevaluate for, I think that, every minor league team's off Monday, possibly back to Norfolk for Tuesday and Wednesday, and then kind of see where they're at. So he's working his way back. Obviously don't want to rush it. Make sure that he feels strong and ready. As you guys know, the big leagues is a bear to tackle, especially if you're not feeling 100%. So I think it's just being cautious with the wrist, and making sure when he does get activated that he's 100% confident where he's at physically, so that he can get out there and compete at the highest level he can. So it's just been a little bit, it's never linear, I think, in recovering from injuries and particularly wrists. There's been a lot of guys that have had that surgery, and so there's just little hiccups here and there, and but he's close and feeling good. I just talked to him a few minutes ago, and I think he's getting excited about where he's at.
Do you believe in his dad?
Do
you believe in Mr. Holliday?
I'm not always a guy for sources, but I'm going to take his word that he's got a pretty reliable source on how Jackson's feeling. I'm just going to take Matt's word that maybe he knows a thing or two. So I will, not having a source, I'm going to trust his sources. So my sources are trusting his sources. My sources being I heard it and saw Matt Holliday say it. So that's confirming the no source that I had. Boom.
Your source, my source,
Yeah.
his source.
Our sources are confirming his sources, and our sources are just that we watched Matt Holliday say it, and we're like, yeah, that checks out.
Well, we did have Dr. Yoni on earlier this week talking about the injury and taking the time, and this is what it is. There's no long-term worry or anything with Jackson. It's just getting comfortable. And I wish that it could be something where you have a pretty good indication of, yep, this happens, and you're going to be back in this time frame, and you're going to be crushing the ball. You hope. And yeah, the timeline of him being healthy for baseball activity was accurate, but how it was getting used to it, and how one way he's been hitting his entire life, and that sensation and feeling now it has changed. That's a part of it. And it's different than what Corbin Carroll's was and Francisco Lindor, who came back earlier. Corbin's the only one that got off to an actual hot start. Francisco Lindor had struggled, and Jackson is still a little bit behind on that process. But it's all good. Just taking time. But I'm glad to hear that from Matt, and I think it could put a lot of people's worries to rest. But it does go back to this of tempering expectations for Jackson. Like, the thing that I'm just the most bummed about this is not because he got hurt. Injuries happen. The hamate bone, it is what it is. And it's something that you cannot control. The thing that I hate for him, or that I'm bummed, is that I wanted to see a fully healthy Jackson to start the year. And so now he's going to be playing catch up, and it's still extremely valuable for him. And I'm glad that he maybe can get the reset and the mental reps, because I think that's the biggest thing for him. The physical skills are there, Zach. He's going to get bigger. He's going to get stronger. But the mental reps of dealing with an everyday season, I wanted that to be the focus. And it still can be. But physically, he's going to have to battle now. Do I feel comfortable? And he's going to subconsciously have to feel that he's battling that internally. Now, I hope that he goes there, rehabs, feels good, and then everything's off and running. But I am not going to expect that for Jackson. I don't think that's fair. But we know, is he a big part of the team moving forward? Yes. Will he be playing every day, in my opinion? Yes. And you just hope that he gets in that rhythm. And once he does, Zach, it seems like inevitable that he will be in Baltimore. Everything goes well within the next 1 to 2 weeks. It's kind of what it seems like from what I'm hearing.
Yeah. And I think that you look at even him physically, unfortunately, we haven't seen him in spring training. We didn't see him at all because it happened literally right before they broke for camp. But physically, you can tell he's put in the work. He looks stronger, which is something that actually last year he talked to us about. He was, because we joked with him about all the ground beef and like, oh, Jackson Holliday's putting on another 15 pounds of pure muscle. And he even joked about it. He's like, yeah, I'm trying to, get rid of the baby strength and have a few more of these warning track shots go over the fence. And I think he put in the work to do that. I think that's why it's so disappointing is because, like you said, you wanted to see Jackson Holliday with a full season. And more importantly, yes, he's going to miss probably 25, 30 games. He's going to play 130, be available hopefully for 130. So when you look at it that way, like, yeah, he's still playing in the majority of the season, over 25% or over 75%. It just sucks because you're never healthy once the season starts, and you wanted him to get that confidence because I do think he is going to be a big-time player for the Orioles still. I have so much confidence in Jackson Holliday just because we've seen the work ethic. We've seen how he's gone from, stage to stage throughout his career. Unfortunate, but I don't have any doubt once he's back, I think he's going to put together a really solid season, and I just hope people don't give up on him if he has those initial struggles like we think he's going to. And maybe it's not struggles in the batting average aspect or, oh, he's not getting on base. But I hope people understand you're probably not seeing Jackson Holliday get a few Utah street shots. He's probably not hitting the grand home run, grand slam against the Blue Jays like he did for the first of his career. I think it's going to take some time, Yoni said, to get that power back. Maybe, hopefully, spraying the ball more all around the field when he first gets back until he gets more confidence and feeling comfortable in the hand. Then I think he's going to be back to the Jackson Holliday we all know he can be.
Yeah, you don't want to overcompensate. If the power is not there to start, just continue the same swing, same approach, because that's what got him up to the big leagues quickly was his approach. And he's got a great eye around the plate, use the whole field. Power, he had 17 home runs last year. I believe that Jackson's going to have some pop, but don't try to force it. Don't try to force the envelope there. Don't try to press. Don't try to push. Let it come to you. Because sometimes if you swing out of your shoes too much, that can get you in trouble. And there's good times to take those chances, but you don't have to do it all the time. Stay within yourself, which might be a good segue, Zach, into our next conversation that we had with Dylan Beavers. Now, we're going to put out the full interview on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast later on. We're going to play a good chunk of clips today. But what we want to talk about first is that hitting approach. Because one thing that I was fascinated with is Dylan Beavers, to me, seems like a guy that scratches and claws at the dish. And he's young. And yes, he was battling some illness here and still is for this Orioles team. But his approach had changed. His philosophy had changed. And that was a big reason he thinks that he was able to make the steps that he has from the minors to get to the big leagues. So, Zach, why don't we play this conversation of Dylan Beavers talking about his hitting approach? What's a way you describe maybe your hitting approach? Because I am a little bit fascinated because there's just something about when I see you bat, there's a confidence that you're a very tough out, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I don't feel like I've always been that kind of at bat. I think I kind of had to work to get there. I feel like in college and then maybe early in pro ball, I was kind of like trying to sell out to hit a homer. and honestly, like it still kind of goes back to that sometimes. I'm guilty of getting in there and trying to do too much. But I think what's helped me kind of find success is as far as game planning goes and approach is just like trying to win every individual pitch instead of looking at the outcome or looking to play to a result before I get in the box. I think it just makes it easier if I have my approach where I want to get a pitch and what I want to hit, and then I feel like each individual pitch is kind of its own thing, its own entity. I'm not looking at the whole at bat and trying to do too much in the at bat. So I think just trying to win each pitch and do anything I can to kind of help the team, whether that's drive in a couple guys or get on base to try and set the table. I think when I have that mentality, it makes it easier to have success. And I'm not playing to the result as much and just kind of focusing on what's in front of me.
I love hearing the thought process. That's like the baseball nerd in me, Zach, and maybe one of these days, or I can add it on to the Rip special of Ripken Media of going to the inner workings of how at-bats work and how you think and what you need to do to adjust. Because each hitter does have a different philosophy. The biggest thing is not that if it works for somebody else, does it work for you? But I think all hitters can be guilty at times of getting outside of their approach, getting outside of their game plan. The ones that do the best are the ones that stick to that game plan through thick and thin. And so for Dylan, he understood that, I sometimes would swing out of my shoes. And there's a time and place for that, by the way. You're up in the count. If you saw the spring training, he was 3-0 hacking. You can take risks and swing aggressively. You should. All hitters do that too. But understanding you might have to change that as your bat goes on. But one thing, Zach, I loved was him saying, not trying to win the at-bat, win the pitch by pitch, adjusting. And I think that game plan for him not only simplified the moment for him, but also simplified what he was trying to do at the plate. And I think takes more pressure off because Dylan has been battling illness. We talked about that. I still think watching him, what he's explaining, I see it when he's in the batter's box. And I think that's something that I love. Now he's going to have to continue how to take on these scouting reports and be effective at the big league level. But Zach, I would be surprised if this mentality doesn't translate to more success for Dylan as he gets more comfortable here in the big leagues.
Yeah, and I think another big thing that I loved hearing from was just simply doing whatever the team needs, but also winning each pitch. And that can mean so many different things. That doesn't mean, okay, I'm getting a hit on every hittable pitch. That doesn't mean, I'm getting on every at bat. I guess two examples I'll use is I think it was the eighth inning yesterday. Kobe Mayo and Jeremiah Jackson both got out in the eighth inning, but both of them went 7, 8, 9 pitch at bats where it kind of got Messick out of the game. Winning each pitch means laying off the stuff that you can't hit. It means learning from the pitch before. It means, okay, I was thinking curveball, he threw a fastball. I'm now taking a note. Okay, this is what his curve looks like. Here's what his change looks like out of the hand. Here's what his fastball looks like. Here's how he's trying to attack me. And I think over time, that's why we've seen Dylan Beavers take off in the minors so much, because he admitted it. He's like, this is not something I always had. And I think that's, if anything, encourages me that he's going to get even better. This wasn't someone who it's like, oh, well, this is what he's done since college to now. It's not who he was in college. He admitted he was a guy who he went out there and in one swing, he tried to change the game. And they're too good in the majors to do that. So I think he's had one of the best mindsets, and maybe it's something like he said, it just grew over time where you can tell he's trying to win every single pitch. You can tell he doesn't care about pulling the ball. He doesn't care about hitting it to the opposite field. He just wants to put a good swing on it. And that's why I think you see him so often, especially last season, the number of times it'd be a 1-2 pitch, a 2-2 pitch. He'd fall back 0-2. Pitcher's pitch off the outside corner, bloops into left field. Just go with the pitch, because he's just got that simple mindset of when he's up there, I'm not going to do too much. I'm just going to win this at bat. I'm going to win this pitch. I'm going to try to get the guys behind me in a situation where they can succeed.
And at the end of the day, the home runs are great. They're cool. They're the sexy thing, but not everyone is asked to be the home run hitter, right? Not everyone's asked. And my hair is just having a mind of its own right now. Hey, now. But not every hitter is going to be tasked with being the RBI guy. Now, you can drive runs in, but you don't have to have that every single time. If no one's on base, what's your goal? Get on base. Get on. You get someone on in front of you, all right, try to do some damage, but also recognize the situation. What do I need to do here? Bases loaded, and you need to get a run in, and it's less than 2 outs. You're trying to get that ball to the outfield. Drive something. Put the ball in play with 2 strikes. Make something happen. And actually, Beav had that in Chicago. Pass ball, got the Orioles a runner in. He's still battling, hits a sac fly, and the Orioles then take the lead. Or the 2-strike swing he had against the Twins, where he's battling, gets a hanging changeup, and he pulls it down the line. The Orioles take the lead there. Whatever it is, I like that approach. And I think if you hear from anyone we've talked to that's had a lot of success, typically they have a simple approach. Eddie Murray, one of the greatest hitters of all time. Eddie's thing is always simple. I'm not going to overswing. I'm going to remember what people throw to me, and I am going to let that dictate what I do. Not that I'm going to try to hit the ball out of the ballpark because that'd be fun. No, you do the other things right, the results that will then follow. Now, the other part that I think people would be very intrigued with, Zach, is the other side of what Dylan's being tasked to do in the outfield. And there's a big carousel of the outfield rotation right now. Outside of Taylor Ward, who's going to be the left fielder, they have really spun around who's in center, who's in right. And while Dylan Beavers, I think, has a lot of upside to be an everyday outfielder, he needs those reps. And so earlier, talked to Dylan about what it's like playing the outfield and that carousel of learning the different positions, because that's the hot topic. We'll hear from Dylan the challenges and why he thinks this might be the biggest challenge at the big league level.
Adjustment been just kind of playing everywhere and adjusting to every ballpark?
Yeah, it's definitely, it's tough. I'd say that'd probably be the toughest thing about the big leagues to me at this point is playing major league caliber defense. Just because, like you said, the stadiums are all different. The ball just comes off the bat different. You know, guys are hitting, 110 mile an hour top spinners at you. And then sometimes, the ball can get hit into a weird corner or up against a wall you're not familiar with. So it can definitely be challenging. But I think obviously I try and do as much as I can in my prep to be ready for the game, get as many reps off the bat and BP as I can, and work with JB, our outfield guy, on the stuff I feel like I need to improve on. But I think, ultimately the biggest thing is probably just game reps, getting more balls hit at me in the game and feeling more comfortable there. But yeah, it's definitely tough. And then as far as like the position versatility, moving around, it's not easy. It seems easy. I always thought it would be. I always thought, if you can play one, you can play them all. But it's definitely different. I would say right to left field is the toughest one for me. Like left field can be challenging, even though you can argue it's just the opposite. of right field. It's weird. The ball just doesn't seem to come off the bat the same. And, a lot of righties like to just rip top spinners at you. So I feel like a lot of the balls you get right are kind of just clipped balls from right-handed hitters. Occasionally, you have like a big lefty bat hitting rockets at you, but that's definitely different. And then, center's nice. So you got more ground, obviously, but I feel like the spin is definitely a little more true. You're getting true flight. It's really just getting a good initial read off the bat, I think, is the important thing out there. But it's more challenging than I had thought it would be. So, we're working on it right now.
And we go more into depth, and we're going to play more of that out. So check out the full interview later on. The part with Beavers that he's talking about with the ball, the top spinners, and a guy that can really get into one. It's talking about top spin versus back spin. Ball hit right at you, and you have to freeze. So for those that are wondering about why outfield play is harder than you think, especially if you haven't done it enough in the different positions, is when you're in the outfield, you have more time to react, but it's harder to judge in moments. So, for example, when you're watching at home and you're watching in the infield, you can see the ball come off, and you have an earlier reaction of what that ball is going to look like. But in the outfield, you got to hesitate for a second. You got to pause. So when you're out there, hardest ball is to catch is the line drive right at you, or you think it's at you, because if you make a move too quickly, it can go over your head. You know who's really struggled with that in big league baseball right now? O'Neal Cruz. O'Neal Cruz has not been an outfielder. And what's the big thing that people have noticed about his play is judging the flight of fly balls. And on opening day, I believe, when Paul Skeens was throwing, O'Neal Cruz had a ball that went 30 feet over his head. Why? He thought it was a line drive, and he made a step in because he didn't get a good read, and the ball went over his head 30 feet. And it led to runs for the Mets. So it's not as simple as, well, you should just make all those plays. You're right. Dylan should be comfortable. He's been an outfielder his entire time. But playing the different positions in these different ballparks, playing the corner, playing left field at Camden Yards, it's probably one of the hardest left fields to play in the big leagues now, because they've changed it 3 times in the last 5 to 7 years, whatever it is. And the dimensions, if you aren't familiar with it, is pretty daunting. And now you're asking a guy to go over there and play. And that's the thing what I felt the worst about with Weston Wilson. I didn't have a problem necessarily that you're going to put Weston Wilson in the game, but you're putting him in a spot where he's never played, and he's playing a left field that is one of the harder ones to understand. So I love that Beavers was honest about it. There's a lot of ways you can work on it. And it's by no means any excuse, Zach. They're paid to go out there. And really, it's going to be who can be the best defensive players out there. And if you are, we're going to put you out there. But also, when you're not, this carousel is not allowing for a routine.
Mm-hmm.
When you're not out there every single day playing the outfield, it's hard to get in routine. And I think at some point, something's going to have to give with who they're going to put out there in center and in right field consistently.
I mean, it was why I've been so equivocally against just so against the Jorge Mateo in the outfield thing. It's why even Blaze Alexander, I'm just against it. The outfield is hard. Like, even like Dylan saying, like, you misread something just by a split second, you take a step in instead of back, or back instead of in, and you lose all chance. Now suddenly it's a free-for-all. Now you are just hauling ass trying to get as close to this ball as possible. And that's why I hate when it's like, oh, well, he's a good athlete, let's just put him out there, when he doesn't have much experience. It's a learning curve. Even for Dylan Beavers, who has been an outfielder his whole career, throughout the minors. He's still learning. The ball comes off the bat differently. Spin is different. That's why it's so hard for me to understand when it feels like teams will just grab a guy that they're like, with Jorge Mateo as the example, oh, he's just such an incredible athlete, let's put him in center field middle of a season. Yeah, he's gotten reps there in practice, but that's not a game. That's not reading the ball off the bat in a live game. You take a half step in and it's behind you like you gave with O'Neal Cruz. O'Neal Cruz is an insane athlete. You take a step in and it's over your head coming 104 off the bat. You're not getting to that. No. And that's the tough part. I feel like that's where you do put guys in disadvantageous situations, because it's not, like you said with Weston Wilson, it's not his fault that he took a tough read, couldn't get to the ball fast enough. He's not used to playing left field at Camden Yards, and now he's got to haul ass trying to get somewhere, and he's like, okay, that wall's coming quickly. That little divot out, it's coming. It's a hard spot for guys to be in, and that's why I'm glad Dylan talked about it. Even for an outfielder, you think, hey, just going from right to left, oh, that's simple. He's like, it's a completely different ball game depending on how you have to read the fly ball.
Yep. Look, the game always, people get the appeal, the sexy plays. Throw hard, you hit the ball far, all of that. Like, that's the part that people get attracted to. But what wins you ball games are these fundamental moments. Going out there and cutting off a ball in the outfield, going out there and making a dive-in play, and really securing and patrolling that space, because you can take away a hit. And even though it can go down as a hit and not an error, there are plays that we know players and teams can make. And you know what it also does, Zach? It instills confidence in the pitching staff, that they feel that they can go out there and they can be extra aggressive. And if they make a bad pitch, their team can back them up. It goes all hand in hand to allow for players to play at a higher level. And you know what? When you have confidence then sometimes in the outfield and you build up that, well, sometimes that confidence can go over to the hidden, and why am I blanking on my words? To the batter's box. When you feel good, it can translate. You ever hear when they say, oh, batters who are struggling take it out to the field and they make mistakes? Yeah, because their confidence dropped and their focus dropped and it impacted their game. So the negative can happen, but it can go the other way here. So it's all an interesting factor into this. But at the end of the day, we said yesterday, why do some guys stay around the big leagues? They either hit so damn well, or maybe they're an unbelievable fielder at one of the priority positions, catcher, short, center. Or maybe there's somewhere in between where that's where a lot of people live, where they can be average, above average at one thing and the other. You got to find what works for you and see what you can do. So if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe on Ryan Ripken Show. We do this live Monday through Friday right here on YouTube, X, and Facebook. And before we continue on with this stream, before we welcome in Mark Trumbo here in a little bit, from one stream to the next, hey now, there he is, handsome fellow. Guys, AutoStream now has 11 locations open in Maryland. It's not a matter of if you have a car issue, it's a when. So when you do, and Zach's nodding his head because he knows, and a lot recently, which that so might be a Rip After Dark comment, because the shit that happens with you, man, is unbelievable.
Yeah, my car got its ass whooped over the past 2 weeks. Just so bad. Might need to, AutoStream might need you.
It might need you. It might need you. Well, if you need them, mention my name, Ryan Ripken. You get $50 off. And then, Zach, there's a double play.
No way.
Promotion coming next week, where you can actually be a friend to someone else. It's a double play promotion coming your way. A little 2-for-1 action. And it's talk about a price. You like $50 off. Well, this next service, you're going to need constantly. You're going to need that checked and changed. Double play, man, good bang for your buck. But we appreciate our friends over at AutoStream. So from one stream back to another. Zach, it's Friday. I'm excited. Excited for our next guest, too, as well, because actually I hadn't seen Mark in quite some time. It's probably down in spring. But before all this, is back in the day. Things have changed over this. My career never really got the takeoff that I was hoping. I had to retire before the big leagues. Mark's hit a bunch of Trumbo bombs, as Gary Thorne would say. I think that's still one of the most iconic ones that I remember. Of all the calls that Gary has, it was a a Trumbomb from Trumbo or something like that.
Yeah.
So, Mark, when you're ready, let me know. Just give me a thumbs up. You're ready to rock and roll. Double thumbs up. Well, hell, yeah, we're ready to rock.
It's Friday, baby.
It's Friday. So, hey, without further ado, let's bring on former big leaguer, former Oriole, and now host of the Halo Territory. Let's bring on Mark Trumbo. Mark, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I want that $50 off.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Well, actually, we're going to open it up since you're on here. Zach actually needs a lot of help because Zach's car, did we find out if it got broken into or just smashed?
I don't know. Mark, yesterday I walked outside and my back windshield was just shattered. And I was like, I don't know how this happened. And it was one of those things. I got in the car and I wasn't really paying attention. And I looked in my rearview mirror and was like, there's just no back windshield anymore. So that was a humbling. That was a fun way to start my morning yesterday. So definitely might need Auto Stream for a little help on that one.
Well, best wishes, man. That is a bummer, but it sounds like you guys have the right connection. What else is going on, Ryan? What is new?
That's a good question. Well, a lot's happened. What's new? We almost saw a no-hitter last night at the expense of the Orioles. Other than that, season started. I've gotten into media. You're into media now, by the way. So maybe I'll start with that because there's nothing really new with us. We do this Monday through Friday. We cover a lot of things in Maryland, but I got the baseball background. But talk to me about your little media journey so far, and you're running now Halo Territory over on the Foul Territory side.
Sure. I am one of the two hosts of the vlogcast Halo Territory. We cover the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim exclusively for the most part. We'll talk about some other topics at times, but it's a newer venture. We were asked to do it. I was asked to do it. I've looked into some other things for the last few years, some coaching, and nothing made a ton of sense. But when I was asked to do this, I thought, you know what? I think I can tackle this. I can hopefully provide some insights, other things that people might want to know. The Angels are a unique team to cover. Every team is unique, but transitional phase, and it's been interesting so far. The fans have opinions, as they do probably on your show as well. But baseball, it's exciting right now.
It is humming. Yeah, there's a few things we could talk about because the Angels are a power team now. They hit about 8,000 home runs, it seems. And I was texting with Brady, and I know he's all stoked out there, and we can maybe talk a little bit about Brady and BA because you guys overlapped in the time in Baltimore, correct? You got to know
for
Brady?
sure. Oh yeah, I got to know him all.
Yeah. So maybe since you heard us before, we were talking about the outfield and outfield play, and you're a guy that's been playing on the corner, DH, going to the outfield. And so we had Dylan Beavers on earlier today, and he was saying about the challenges of learning the stadiums, the different stadiums, playing the corner outfield position from someone that's gone through it and learning that in the big leagues. Could you maybe give a little insight to the challenges and what maybe was one of the hardest things that you felt as an outfielder trying to make plays there, and you got thousands and thousands of people judging your every move?
Well, everything is difficult. It's it really depends on your level of athleticism. If you're asking my opinion on this. Yeah. And this is kind of what I told Trey Mancini when he was carving out some playing time out there. My advice to him was, because I saw somebody similar to myself, I said, look, you're not going to get rated highly out here. I think that you need to probably get that kind of, into your head. And it's not being critical. It's just the reality. I didn't run well enough. He didn't run well enough to ever really rate as a plus defender. It is very difficult to be an average runner and a plus outfield defender. What you can do and what is in your control is the preparation, being where you need to be at the right time, staying in tune with the game, watching intently, hitting your cutoff man, not making silly plays that lead to doubles, triples, etc. just being really smart. You're not going to be able to do some of the things that the guys that make the highlight reels do, but you can also not be a negative out there to the point that you're having to get subbed out for early in the game, and pitchers are cringing when the ball is hit your way. I did my best to not be that guy. I'm sure at times it probably was the case, but it's one of those things that if you got the bat, sometimes they need to find a place for you. The corner outfield spots tend to be the low-hanging fruit. So sometimes you'll see guys out there that are learning on the fly, learning in the big leagues, some bumps and bruises. There's no way around it. And
it's a trial and error, unfortunately. You got to get the reps, and the best way you do that is you got to be out there. You can take, BP reps, go out there and shag and have the intensity, right? But it's still hard where nothing can replicate going out there and making the plays. But you're right. That's a part of constructing a roster. How much you're going to prioritize the defensive side with who you have, how much you're going to prioritize the offensive side because you need it. And that's a part of the game. And you're right. It's no knock to it. Hell, I was not fast. I'm not going to even try to wiggle my way around that. I'd like to say if I got the train moving, Mark, it was okay. I wasn't known to have that quick twitch first couple steps, if you know what I mean. I wasn't really known for that.
I know what it looks like. I remember you run into. I say that you're, the thing is getting up to speed is great, but the really good guys, they do it awfully quick. And sometimes these plays, they don't give you a lot of time to let it materialize. So the difference in catches and not catches can be very small, as you know. I tried one thing. I had the biggest glove possible out there. That would be my advice to anyone that is maybe not rating as highly as they would like. Go to a bigger glove because, who knows, those inches, an extra inch, if they're sometimes infielders too are pretty married to the smaller glove. You get used to it the whole time. If you're playing first base and left-handed, different, but some guys don't feel comfortable with that big glove, and that there's a bunch of things, especially utility guys that Adam Frazier was on the Angels now, was with the Orioles. He's bouncing around almost daily from second to left, and it's very tough, man, being the super utility in air quotes.
Yeah, it is hard. And I'm glad that the memory you could have of me running like a duck, that's still out there. It's some
things leave an impression.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that's the thing that left an impression. Great. I was going to give you compliments about, hitting all these home runs.
Don't bother. Don't bother.
Yeah, well, if we backed it up, I don't have to bother because I think I saw your Silver Slugger Award just sitting in the back, from your year. Yeah, the year you had 47 in Baltimore. That's the year you won it, right?
Yeah. That as far as set decoration, it's eclectic and minimal, but that's one of the few things. I did a very poor job of collecting memorabilia, let's say. So I used what I had, and just wasn't my thing. I had teammates that were very good, probably going to profit off it big time, but I was just like, I don't want to bother anybody. But it is there, yeah. If you want to talk, it's 2016. That is the year I was able to take that home.
Yeah, 47 jacks, 108 ribbies. Pretty good year. So I think, was that 2016 playoff appearance that year? Was that the
wild card? Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Nope, I remember that one. We all remember that one. But that was a hell of a year for you. And I think since you don't have all the memorabilia, and just since I want to go down memory lane here, again, not about how bad my running form is and whatever else that you remember about me, what do you remember about your time in Baltimore? What specifically? Is there a couple moments? Was there 47 moments that you remember, or one more than the other that sticks out, or just something about being here that, people don't really know about the time that you spent here? Because that was a good run. There were a lot of good people that were in this organization.
There were tremendous people in the organization. I think I had lunch with Darren O'Day the other day. You might remember Darren.
Oh, yeah.
So I know Darren from the Angels. Actually, I was drafted a year in front of him, but he was one of the guys that was established over in Baltimore. And I came from the Mariners. So I had bounced around. I went from the Angels to the Diamondbacks to the Mariners. And right when I had kind of felt comfortable finally in Seattle, they hired the same GM who traded me from the Angels, Jerry DiPoto, who nothing against Jerry, but I don't think I was his cup of tea. So I was alerted that I was probably going to be moved over the winter. I said, well, thanks, Jerry. But, you know, you don't know what team. And it wasn't like that they just, you know, I wasn't a free agent or anything. So I didn't have any, I was just kind of at the mercy of whatever makes sense. And when I heard the Orioles, being from Southern California, I got to be quite honest, the only thing I really knew, except playing against them in those brief series, you come in, you see the visiting hotel, maybe a little of the city, play the games, and you're out. You don't really get a great feel for what's going on. And I just wasn't sure what to expect. I knew they had a good thing going as far as winning and chemistry, but it really was apparent when I got to spring training and saw what Buck Showalter had put together. Adam Jones, Chris Davis, Darren, JJ Hardy, Manny, Scopey. The list is very long, and that is a good thing because it's nothing against some of the other teams, but it's just more memorable when you can rattle off teammates that quickly.
I mean, and that was built, right? And that took years to get
very
there.
Intentional.
Yeah, you know, and it takes time. And then Buck came in. You set the tone that you want. They made some good moves. They had some players develop, and then they could bring in some really good veteran guys, one being yourself. And then you look up all of a sudden and you go, wow, this is just a really solid group. This is a good group that loves the game. And it's a joy to come to the ballpark each and every day. And I wish that could be the same all the time. And that's probably why you guys had a lot of success in the years is when there is trouble and there is stress, teams go through a lot of the ups and downs of the season, but when you lose, it really can sit, and it's a tough spot to be. Say like the Angels last year, they've gone through a lot of different changes. I'd say over the years. I'm assuming right now, Mark, out there and talking with BA, he feels refreshed, and from the guys he's talked to, there seems to be a little bit of a different tone. You know, even for them trying to establish, you know, what they could be. And to be honest, I mean, I think the AL is extremely wide open from a standpoint of, you know, who can actually compete this year.
I would agree with you. The Angels are an interesting team this year. They just they took 2 out of 4 from the Yankees, and Max Fried, on a day where the Angels did not have their A lineup in there, were able to put up, I believe, a dozen runs. Mike Trout, as most people probably have seen, had an enormous series, 4 home runs, and is back in playing center field after a number of years battling some injuries. But he looks tremendous. His running is as fast as it's been. You know, they clock these things now. There's some of these advanced stats and whatnot, but there's a stat for everything. Needless to say, he looks like I don't want to say the Mike Trout of old, but I think you can understand what I mean by that. So that is awesome. Zach Neto's an emerging potential all-star at shortstop, and Jose Soriano, despite I believe yesterday being ranked very low on one of the athletic articles, arguably is the best pitcher in baseball right now. And a lot of people know who he is. I understand that. But if you were to watch at least the opening so far this year, he's got 4 pitches. He's gone through some very good teams with ease. And it's been impressive to watch.
Yeah. And the offense, I know, you know, batting average is different than how people view it. But as far as production, the Angels are tied I think there's 2 teams in front of them. So the Angels are 3rd in baseball in RBIs. I think they're top 2 in home runs. So there's been a lot of pop. It does help when they hit, 40, it felt like in New York. But there's a different buzz, and the Astros are trying to battle through. Seattle's trying to find themselves. The entire American League, you look at the AL East, it's the Tampa Bay Rays that are bunting people to death in moments that are winning it. But I think Zach had a question for you, Mark, if you don't mind.
Yeah, Mark, actually, you just kind of talked about it. How, going back to your time, obviously, as a teammate to now watching him, Mike Trout, is there anything he does that surprises you anymore? Because people talk about the the injuries and everything. It's like, oh, when he's healthy, obviously you know what he can do. Comes out, what was it, 5 homers in 4 games? It's just unbelievable. What's it like to get to watch him up close, you know, when you were a teammate of his, and then continue now?
Nothing at this point. I think as a teammate, when I was his teammate, I think we both made the All-Star team in 2012. Not the point of this, but you know, even when I was at my best, he was so much better. And it was apparent. I don't want to say envious or jealous, but the dude got 3 hits a night. I mean, it seemed like the game came very easy to him, almost to the point where I was like, he must be getting bored out there. You know, it's because he has, one of the things is, you know, his speed, especially in his younger days. He gets like, there were really no slumps when you have those infield hits. Ryan, you probably remember getting plenty of those. And you know, when you have that kind of game-changing speed, you know, you can eke out some of those extra ones where the big guys, you know, you're out by a step or two. So his surefire Hall of Famer. He's you know, it really is good for baseball to have him back out there grabbing a bat. Doing what he's doing. Okay, you coming through the screen?
Worry. You're good. No, keep going.
That's a huge girl too. No, I think I answered the question somewhat, but if you want some more, again.
Yeah,
No,
you did.
nailed it.
And I'll to go off of what you were saying about Ryan, you would know. I actually did have a fair share of infield hits. I still remember specifically, I cued one right to Alec Boehm when we were in Double-A. And I beat the throw out. And I'm thinking, you know what? He must have underestimated my speed. And there was no throw. You know? Hard to say.
Probably put some English on it.
There was some English on it. It was a changeup, and I was so out in front of it, and I just squibbed it right down the line right there. And it was sometimes it's perfect.
You know, I had a fan at one of the fan fests that was adamant I needed to work on hitting the blooper.
So wait, Mark, you didn't perfect that throughout your career?
No, this gentleman, it was Orioles Fan Fest, and he came locked and loaded with the concept that he just didn't see enough guys that had that in their game, and he thought I needed to figure that out. And I kind of entertained him and was asking about how you go about that. You know, if he had any tips, if he was, you know, happened to be very good at it himself. And it kind of ended, you know, it's kind of, okay, appreciate the opinion, but that's never left me. You know, it was a good one.
You know, I always do love those conversations. I really do. And honestly, if I could produce the perfect bloop hit, I would do it every single damn time, because that means that I'm one of the best hitters. You know, you would talk about hitting all those home runs. And the average for you, I mean, hell, you would reset the whole metric on what the actual standard should be. Like, I wish that I knew how to perfectly get sawed off, break a bat. My hands are on fire or numb, depending on what weather you're playing in. And then it just perfectly drops in down the line. Like, how amazing would that be to have that on demand? You know? Something.
I think everyone would probably want a piece of it. I asked when I remember, you know, we're kind of rambling, but it was more the broken bat, you know, in specific. I said, what kind of blooper are we talking? They're not all created equal. Yeah. And I hope most guys in the game still will. You know, one thing on a semi-serious note, some guys seem kind of pissed when they get a base hit, a single. And I know that the launch angle stuff is you know, it's well established by now, and the homers and stuff. But what I personally, and you mentioned the batting average a couple times, I'd like to see that become a little bit bigger deal. A lot of people, yes, it's outdated to some extent, but it's really tough to put together a nice year if you're in the low 200s. And I keep thinking at some point it'll probably start shifting around. Taylor Ward's a pretty good example. I'm very interested. You know, he similar to me, Angel, and then I had a couple other teams. He's now an Oriole. He's contributing in a big way. Has he gone deep yet, or is?
No, not yet. But do you think he had a million doubles?
Yeah,
I think he actually had like 7 or 8 doubles.
10 doubles in the first 11 games.
Yeah. So he's driving the baseball, just not leaving the yard yet.
Yeah, I read an article where he was talking about some swing, not huge changes, but I said he's on plane more now and hitting in the top of the order. And, it seems like he's getting on base a ton for the guys behind him. So it's great to see him. He's going to be there. I think he's a free agent next year. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. And I mean, another former Angel then found himself. Jeremiah Jackson's been on a hot streak and played well, and he's changed up some things with his swing. And, if it doesn't work out in one place, it can work out somewhere else. And right now it has. Going to go back a couple more years. Ryan O'Hearn, Royals to the Orioles. And now he signed a 2-year, $29 million deal to be an everyday player for the Pirates. But actually, maybe my last topic with you, Mark, and this is why I got this log, by the way. So, out of curiosity, what was your bat size when you were playing?
Had a 34-inch bat.
34, what? Are we 34, 31? Are we 34, 34? What we got here?
It was either 34, 33 or 34, 32.
Okay. So it's got a little thump to it.
Yeah.
This is like a 38, 38, in case you're wondering. This was my grandfather's bat.
I was wondering. I was hoping to get the backstory. I saw the tapered barrel or the opposite, whatever it is. Definitely unique looking.
Yeah, so this is from senior way back in the day, and my grandmother gave me this for Christmas. I'd like to say, 15 years ago, and I always love, one, because I just think it's really cool looking, but two, it's one of the pieces that I have left because it's the stories that I remember. So, but one thing that I remember from back in the day, and talking with my dad, talking with Big Eddie Murray, and everyone. I love talking hitting philosophy. I love talking hitting approach. And with a bigger bat, they always said, I can't afford to do more. I have to keep it simple. And so Eddie was swung a 35-35, and his approach was, all right, I'm going to control the bat, and I'm not trying to hit homers. Mark, you were a prolific home run hitter. And I know you're talking about what the average is and you're talking about with this, but from a guy like you that has the numbers to back it up, I mean, what was your approach then when it came to hitting? Like, were you trying to launch the balls in the seats, or did you have a more simplified approach? I think I have an idea, but would love to hear from you on it.
Solid contact.
That's very simple. So you're just trying to hit the ball hard somewhere.
Correct.
So,
well, all jokes aside, that is the goal. As far as I was, one of the first things that I was told when I got drafted was, we are not getting paid to time you down the first baseline. So that clued me in on, but it was a different time. The hitting evolved. I think I benefited the most as a younger player from watching. Well, Barry Bonds was one of them, and Paul Konerko, kind of trying to copy what they did. Kind of noticed, it's hard not to notice, they hit a lot of balls on the line and they hit a lot of balls in the air with authority. I think when I was at my best, yes, there was a lot of damage. But I don't know, it was a weird thing where the home runs were cool. It was something, kind of the raw power I always had, that people ask for, how do you backspin balls and some of these, as far as batting stance questions and stuff. And oftentimes they're the first time I've ever thought about such things, which kind of makes me giggle. But, your back elbow, I was like, never thought about that a single second in my life. But I could probably give you an answer if I had to. But I wanted to, I don't know, it was drilled into me to not strike out, although I did more than I would like sometimes. And that was kind of in that transitional period where the launch angle and some of these other things hadn't fully been embraced. They were becoming a thing. But
yeah.
So I always had this kind of mix of watching some of the veterans like Torrey Hunter and Albert Pujols and these guys that Paul Goldschmidt that I really admired. That, I mean, they were much better than me, but they always hit for a higher average too. So I always had that kind of. I would have loved to hit 280, never did. But, I never aspired to hit 220, 230 either. It may have happened, but, kind of left a sour taste, and the game is different now. So I know it's evolved. If you draw a lot of walks, which I didn't do, that can really equal those things out. And RBIs too was a huge deal. I used to pride myself on driving in runs. Now, maybe most think they're a byproduct of who's hitting around you, but at the end of the day, somebody's got to drive them in, and it's pretty frustrating when you leave a lot. Team leaves 10 plus guys stranded, and especially with less than 2 outs, there's kind of an art sometimes to just doing what it takes to drive the run in, not trying to do too much. You see it a lot now, guys corkscrewing. See guys fall down all the time with two strike swings. And I do wonder at times what my eyes tell me what the approach is, but maybe if they could verbalize just to confirm that they are trying to hit it in the second deck, buried in the count against a nasty pitcher. I'm not sure that's always the way.
I feel like all the game's greats that I've heard talk about less than 2 outs, infield back, said, I'm trying to hit a ball up the middle. I'm going to try to hit the ball to the shortstop if you're a righty. I'm going to try to hit the ball to the second baseman if I'm a lefty, get them in. And then we know you think that, and in those cases, they still sometimes leave the yard. But it's a simple approach. I know, joking, all jokes aside, but you just saying solid contact, that's so simple. Like, the goal was just hit the ball hard, and you hit the ball hard enough, good things will happen. And I think that's where the focus needs to be. And hitting the ball hard doesn't always have to be in the air. You want to have that result, but you had the year. Let me see if remember your stats correctly. How many hits did you have in that 47 home run year? Do you have a idea?
In excess of how many at bats did I have? How about you give me that, and I can give you.
It's a good game right here. It's a good game. You had 613 at bats.
I hope I'm not too far off. I'm going to say I probably had 130 to 145 hits.
Oh, you undersold yourself there. 157.
I kind of knew it was higher, but.
I knew it because I was a silver slugger that year. I didn't have to muster.
No, I don't have. I mean, there are certain plays that, and the certain home runs that I can remember more than others. Opening day, I think I had 4 hits, maybe, or I don't think it was 5, but I think it was 4. But that was pretty cool. Not all of them were scorched, but they all counted. So
they did. But the point where I was going with this is, you had 157 hits that year. 47 home runs, 110 of your hits were not long balls. So the majority of your hits are not leaving the yard. And I think that's the part that we forget is it's still accidents when the ball leaves the yard, whether you hit the ball 450 or it gets out at 330 down the line somewhere, right? It's the byproduct there, but it's the swing, it's the solid contact. Yeah, and you did. You also, my favorite memory, and I'll let you go. My favorite memory, I think, for you hit a home run at your eyes. You remember that one? Maybe?
It gets brought up regularly. And
the one up here?
My advice to, I mean, it was, okay, you want to know what happened there?
Yes, I would.
Gio Gonzalez quite a bit. Had a lot of history, placed him when he was with the A's. He bounced around a little bit, but I think it was a 1-2 count, if not 0-2, but I think it was 1-2. And there are times if you play long enough that he had the big curveball, and in that situation, I was buried in the count, and I wasn't certain, but I had a hunch that he was probably going to go upstairs with the heater. And I sold out for the pitch. I don't know, it ended up working out. My advice is to not swing at those pitches, but if you are going to swing at them, and you want, part of the truth too is my old man threw batting practice when I was a young youth at the chest. So I have thousands of reps hitting that. Also, why I probably swung at it, and I still to this day, wake up thinking about why I didn't draw more walks, didn't get on base more. Well, I swung at that pitch a lot more than the next guy. Goldschmidt was the real example. He was just, had an eagle eye. Very, I'd sit on the on-deck circle. I'm like, I would have hacked at that for sure. Some guys, I talked to Mountcastle about it, and I know he's injured now, but I said, so you are somewhat who you are. If Ryan, goes up there, trying to be super selective, it's not going to go his way. I don't know that for certain, but I think it's probably, he's got to hit first and refine it that way. Some guys are excellent at it from the time they pick up a bat, and they just have this, unbelievable idea of the strike zone. I know teams really like those guys, and they're all around. So there's different ways to do it. You got to figure out what works for you, and you ultimately become your own best coach.
You got to learn what works for you. That's what it is at the end of the day. Not for somebody else. You can watch what someone else does, but how does it impact you? So, Mark, I appreciate you. In the future, next time we can I'll look up all the infield hits. I'll actually try to find yours, and we can break those down specifically. What was going through your mind then? Now, there's got to be a couple out there, right?
I pull up the lone bunt hit I got. And you know who it was against? The same guy I hit the ball with my eyes.
Gio?
I got asked to sacrifice bunt probably in my first year. And,
my God.
We practiced it a lot, so I was pretty amped up, but probably more nervous there than most any other at bat I can remember. And I got it down, but I got it down right on the barrel, and the thing went almost to the outfield grass and got a base hit off it. I can text you the highlight if you want.
Please, because you know what we're going to do next time? We are going to break that down. I want to break down that.
I just broke it down. Can you give me a 10-second synopsis of the Orioles offense right now?
What was that?
Just a brief synopsis. I want to hear your thoughts on the Orioles. On their offense. What do you see?
Okay, then I gotta go because we got Q. We got to talk about a lot of other football stuff that's going on here. Apparently, it's too hard to practice here in Baltimore. But quick synopsis for the Orioles. When we talked about lineups and construction, you got to have your RBI guys that you depend on. Who gets on? Who can make something happen? Who's your RBI guys? I think for the Orioles, they're still trying to identify what people are good at. Not a lot of the guys in this day and age in the game know how to do the small ball type things. No, hit and runs don't exist anymore. Bunting is not a priority, but for some guys that can be a weapon. And I think for guys that aren't Taylor Ward, Gunnar Henderson, Pete Alonso, and I'd throw Sammy Basayo in there as a big left-handed bat. Those are your big power guys. Everybody else has to be comfortable with doing what's asked of them. And I don't think that that's necessarily happened yet. They have a lot of fight and they don't give in, but this is a team for the longest time, going back the last couple of years, where they lived and died by the long ball. Strike out a lot, not great with situational moments. So that's my quick little rundown of where I think that they're at.
A lot like another team that I talk about quite a bit. And this one leads the league in strikeouts usually. So, and Brady, I assume, is going to start to make some headway on that. But yes, the Angels extremely similar. Home runs, especially multiple home runs, they usually win. But it can be tough against the best pitching. So I think I am more up to date than I came off there. I just wanted to get your take on it. But
I know you are. I know you are, Mark. You're a very intuitive guy, and you have don't think I haven't forgotten some of the comments you threw in there about my athletic ability. Okay, I got it.
You got to figure it out for yourself, but I also try and steal whenever possible. So now that I'm doing somewhat what you're doing, I wanted to throw out and see how you responded, kind of out of left field. You handled it really well. You're a professional, and you're very, you can improvise quite easily too. So thank you for having me. I know you guys got to cover football now.
Yeah, because we got to talk about practice, Mark. We got to talk about practice.
I got something to do, so you enjoy yourself.
Hey, Mark, we'll catch up soon then, okay? And we'll break down your other great infield moments.
Absolutely. I appreciate it.
All right, Mark, appreciate you. Mark Trumbo, everybody. Silver Slugger winner. If you didn't know, he's got it in the back of the shot. I forgot how clever he is, and he gets after me. And he talked about the running form. Well, I know our next guest. Well, he's talked to me about athletic performance. And if I had this individual when I was younger, then maybe my athletic form would have been pretty damn good. And one of these days we're going to figure it out. But Q, you let me know when you're ready to rock. Give me a thumbs up. He's ready to rock. All right. You might know him as a Super Bowl champion. You might see him as a football analyst. You might know him as just a connoisseur when it comes to how you treat your body, how you work on performance. It also goes by the missile too. Let's bring on Qadry Ismail. Q, how we doing?
Man, Mark was out there to kind of get at you. I was like, wow, what's going on? I thought baseball players would kind of like just chill with one another, but man, like he was a little bit salty there. What'd you do to him?
I don't know, man. It was coming out of left field right there, literally. But it's it's okay. I take it. I mean, he ain't wrong about my running form. I do run like a duck Q, so that's
I could have helped you. I legit knowing so here's the interesting thing. Last night was the Ravens uniform unveiling, and part of the Ravens Legends community. We had myself, Torrey Smith, Jimmy Smith, Edwin Mulatalo, Jermaine Lewis, and Ray Rice was part of my group. And then they had the Ring of Honor guys. There were about 6 guys in the Ring of Honor that were there. My teammates, Peter Boulware, Matt Stover was there. We had Michael McCrary, and we had who was it? Terrell Suggs was there, Todd Heap, and I believe maybe one other guy. And I apologize for misremembering the final guy. Oh, Jamal Lewis. Excuse me. So Jamal Lewis was also there as well. Long story short of it, when it comes to how guys move and how guys help themselves, and I'm not trying to get off on a tangent. We'll go ahead, and I know what you're going to be, leading into as far as just Zay Flowers. But I will say, it's interesting how longevity-wise, if you look at a person's career or the way in which they train, helps dictate and or help them with their athletic abilities to continue their career, whether it be collegiately or obviously in our cases, professionally. And so I think that is where I kind of draw the line in the sand, kind of beat the drum of like, yo, something's got to change in the traditional way we go about training. But again, I think people are unfortunately not necessarily hard-headed, but more along the lines of they're obstinate in their approach. They can have all the analytics they want, but if you don't recognize some of the obvious things that are staring at you, then it's pretty much a waste of time. So there's my rant. Let us continue the show.
Well, I love the rants. Well, Q, I love the rants. You're one of one. You know that, and I love you. Also the part of this is, one, you've walked the walk, and then 2, you've made it. You dedicated your time and you lived it with helping others with this. So for those that don't know, before we get into practice, because that's we got to talk about practice in a minute. But Q, tell everyone about missile training if they want to learn more about what you do on the day-to-day when they don't see you talking about football on TV or with our friend Locked On Kevin and Locked On Ravens and all of that.
Yeah, so it's cool because right now I'm at my training facility here in North Hartford, in Hartford County in Bel Air. With that said, it is all about the human movement. And it is, yes, sports performance training as well. I have some clients in there right now. They're getting warmed up. And one is actually recovering from a knee strain. But then the other 2, they're getting themselves ready because they have a huge soccer weekend ahead of them. So trying to get them prepped, primed, and ready to go. And I'll have some other pro guys coming in a little bit later. With all that said, it is about human movement and sports performance training. Doesn't matter the age, doesn't matter if you're an individual, doesn't matter if you're a team, or if you're a person just trying to move better and live life. You can go to missiletraining.com, check me out, interact with me there, and we will have you set up with a good consultation.
Q, you're the best, man. You're the man. And this is why I needed to talk to you today about this, because we are talking about practice. And we're talking about how to have your body go through practice and then be at the top level to perform on game day. And the reason why we're bringing this up, while yes, the jerseys were unveiled, And that was a cool spectacle, and I'd love to hear more about it from your perspective, Q. But what took the headlines then today was what Zay Flowers said to Jarvis Landry and Leonard Fournette on their podcast recently. So, Q, I know you watched it, but for our audience, we're going to play this clip of Zay talking about practices under John Harbaugh, and then we're going to react and talk about on the other side. So, Zach, let's play that clip.
What, tackling damn near
in practice?
Y'all was tackling in practice?
Bro, we full pads.
Oh, all the time. I'm be real. I ain't with
We did
that.
get the NFLPA on the line.
However many practice pads you can get,
Yeah.
Oh, you getting them?
He using
every
them.
single one.
100%.
Jesus.
Bro, we doing one-on-ones week 17.
What?
Yeah.
Hey, I ain't gonna lie. Right. Well, my ankle hurt today, but
Week
What the
17,
hell?
we doing one-on-ones. Everybody out there, you tired. You
So
still going.
physically, your body, like, how you manage that though? You know what I'm saying? Like
Don't like that's why low key. That's why we had a lot of like injuries.
injuries, yeah.
Because how we practice, how we went, like.
So, Q, I'm really curious because you played in an era where practice was intense, and we know that things have changed over time. And correct me if I'm wrong, Zach. I think there's 14 padded practices. I think that the Ravens are allowed to have, or the NFL is supposed to have down the stretch, if I'm not mistaken. So there's a few things there, because then it's kind of talking about how, if this were true, is that breaking a technical rule? And that was the thing. You only get 14 padded practices in season by the CBA, and the majority of those have to fall in the first half of the season. So, Q, after hearing that, what you've gone through, I would love your take on this, because I do understand the thought of being healthy to go and play, but the value of practice here and doing it at full speed is also important.
It is. And so let me say it this way. My era was different than his era. I played in an era where literally, I remember the Ravens, we did a final analysis kind of a game, and they were filming me and giving my perspective on a really cool final drive where Randall Cunningham was in a game at quarterback, and we were playing against the Jacksonville Jaguars, and we were marching down the football field, and I catch the game-winning touchdown. There were on that play, or on that drive, about 4 catches that I had. Literally 3 of the 4 in today's game would have been a personal foul, unnecessary roughness, or a hit to the head by the defender in the way in which they were hitting me, the Jacksonville Jaguars defenders. And as I looked at the plays, and as we were going over it, and I was, telling my thoughts, in my mind, not one time was I was like, oh my God, how could he have done that? That's a cheap shot. I just thought like, hey, I am earning my stripes. I am earning the respect of my peers by being tough and being able to overcome. Fast forward to today, today's game is one where you got guys who they recognize from the science and from playing in my era, the CTE and all the issues. And so they want to eliminate the helmet-to-helmet contact. They want to eliminate the defenseless player, both receiver, running back, defender, doesn't matter. You got to eliminate all that, and that's fine. When it comes to practices, there is a delicate catch-22. And so to John Harbaugh, who is as old school of a coach as it gets, especially in this era of coaches and player, in his mind, 14 practices is not enough. When you look at his training camps and you look at the way they even do their what is called a walkthrough. So their walkthrough practices, they're not walkthrough. These suckers are like jogging 3/4 speed through. And so when guys go to other teams and they go through a walkthrough, all the other dudes be looking at them like, yo, man, where'd you come from? Baltimore. What's up? Nah, bro, this ain't Baltimore. We don't do that like that here. To Zay's point, whether it be walkthrough, whether it be training camp, or those 14 padded practices, and what you do within those periods in practice, it's like all gas, no brakes. You are just going. And so at some point in time, regardless of the eras of football, it is a collision sport, period, end of discussion. Your body is going to be colliding against another human at some amazing speeds. And your legs, they get taxed. When you're a receiver, the likes of a Zay Flowers or defensive back, the likes of a Nate Wiggins or whomever, it takes its toll. They got metrics now. Before, your metrics was like, man, let me go to the star player and state my case to him, and hopefully he will go to the coach, and then hopefully the coach will listen to him and make the practice a little bit easier. Now you got your metrics, which figures out how many miles did you run, how many, miles, yards, meters, however they want to describe it, how many calories you burned, what was your resting heart rate, what was your heart rate variability, what all those metrics, it puts it into play and it spits out like, hey, homeboy's tired. Okay, he's tired and he needs a break. You want him fresh for games? Here's what the analytics say. Look, this is what fresh looks like. They're outside that scope of freshness. So we got to figure it out. But when you're an old school coach, you're like, oh, wait a minute, hold on here. Y'all talking about something that's hard. That's what we going with that freshness. That's nothing. Like, yeah, get his butt on out there. And so, yes, when in his interview, a portion of that was like saying, when Landry was with the Cleveland Browns and they were going up against the Baltimore Ravens, he was like, man, y'all hit different. Y'all were different. That meant that, to John Harbaugh's credit, there was a toughness element because the body will adapt one way or the other. And so the body adapted, but at a cost. What is that cost? Because once you get to the postseason, apples to apples with talent. If you got apples to apples, guys that have equal talent, the one that can recover the fastest is the one who wins. So other coaches aren't like John. They can still be old school. They could be even new school. It don't matter. But they don't beat their guys down with a lot of running and or heavy hitting, and they back it way off. They prioritize the recovery. But they got some dudes on the team that are equal to the likes of Zay Flowers and whomever. So to Zay's point, he's like, man, shoot. By the time the season starts to wind down, you're doing everything you can to recover. It's not working. And then you go up against another team that's equal to you, and you're like, mother of pearl, here we go. So that is basically what he was trying to say. And I hear what he's saying. There's nothing technically, there's no right answer or wrong answer. It's the philosophy, and that's where you get into the weeds of it all.
And I think that is it. And I appreciate you sharing all that, because there is the catch-22 where back then, the era that you played in Q, no doubt, it was, oh, you don't want to practice? Well, too damn bad. This is how we get better. There's a standard. There's a way of which we do things, and it's going to stay there, the old school. Nowadays, you're going to have more information that you want to keep guys fresh, and the turnaround times, especially now in football, you play on Thursdays, Saturdays, Fridays, Sundays, whatever it may be, Mondays. Heck, it's probably going to be every day of the week at some point. It's a different day and age. But, Zach, I mean, what was one of your takeaways on a question you have for Q? Because I think the timing for me, because he's going to be asked about this. John Harbaugh is going to be asked about this upcoming too.
Oh, yeah. And Q, actually, you kind of answered it for me. I was going to ask you about over the course, from the body perspective, where that kind of leads you, of the pros and cons of going all out kind of throughout the season. And I like how you put it, where towards the end, it's about who can recover the fastest. So in a situation like that, do you think maybe a situation where now under Jesse Minter, if practices are quote unquote easier, do you think maybe you could see more health for the Ravens down the line, as we get deeper into the season? Or do you think the impact of that is more minuscule?
Yeah, so I do believe, again, philosophy matters. And the delicate thing for Jesse is I know who were my mentors, but I want to put a stamp on things in my way. I want to be the mentor way. You know, my era was, hey, here's how Bill Walsh did it. And Bill Walsh won Super Bowls. And so for that era, the 49ers, they did a ton of taking care of the body. So they weren't quite as intense. But then you got Jimmy Johnson back in my era, who literally was just as militant as it got, and yet they won championships. I think Bill Belichick, the GOAT when it comes to, well, he ain't a first-time Hall of Famer. Shots fired. Anyway, Bill Belichick, when it comes to just sustaining Super Bowl championships and going to the Super Bowl, like they're always practicing outside. There was no we going inside. We practicing outside, our stadiums outside. So you had this mental toughness, but you also had to be delicate with your recovery. When it came to Andy Reid, he's the modern day right now with multiple AFC championship appearances, multiple Super Bowl championship appearances, and he has a lot of Lombardis hanging up in his trophy case out there in Kansas City. He too has a philosophy. We can go on and on and on. It is imperative that you know your team. Jesse Minter right now, like he has to figure out like what is toughness and then what is the line that is over that line into soft tissue injuries. And so that's the delicate balance that everybody has to face.
And I mean, that is a tough line to toe because even some of the greatest players, like if you're going to go talking about with Belichick, Tom Brady talked about how the intensity and practice of which they played really benefited how they played. And even other guys that were with that, they wanted to be so prepared, so detailed for that. But we do know this as well. There's certain guys on each team, if they get hurt, you're in trouble. Like if Lamar got hurt, the Ravens are in trouble. That's what it is. You lose Kyle Hamilton on the defensive side, one of your big guys, you're in trouble. We saw when Matabike went down, that puts the defensive line in trouble, right? We can go through this list, but yeah, I guess Q, it's philosophy does matter, but I think it is just the intensity part. I think that's where people just get caught up of, if you can't compete elsewhere, where are you supposed to get those reps? And I think that's the only part where it comes from. But yeah, it is just a different age. But I thought I just went, damn. In some cases, the comments, while I get where Zay comes from, now I feel like if people were blaming Harbaugh before, if the Ravens don't go and play well this year, what are they going to say now? Like, I think that just opens up more criticism in my mind for what it is. What do you got, Zach?
Actually,
follow up?
Q, real fast, just thinking, do you think these comments have anything to do with maybe position-centric of Zay Flowers? Maybe you're not going to see an offensive or defensive lineman talking about the physicality throughout practice. Do you think maybe a wide receiver who on Sundays, maybe like you kind of said, in your day, he's not getting hit that way on Sunday, so maybe a less physical position. Do you think maybe he's feeling like, hey, I don't need to be doing one-on-ones, full pads in week 17? Do you think that has anything to do with maybe his comments as a wide receiver being like, this is really physical for week 17. I'm trying to take care of my body to be fast, and we're doing hitting drills out here.
Yeah. So one-on-one is basically receiver versus defensive back. The practices are closed to the public, so and the media, we only get a small window to see it in the beginning, and then you talk to the guys afterwards. So you don't really know, like, are they doing one-on-one, D-line, O-line? You definitely know if they say they're doing one-on-one, they're doing one-on-one defensive backs and receivers. But the other side, he didn't necessarily specifically say and report. It's interesting because, yes, your legs will get taxed, and it will be like you're filled with a lot of that leftover, as you would call it, lactic acid, and like, oh my God, my body is just spent. And so it forces you to try to figure out how to recover, but you only got so much in you. And it does take a toll. From a physical aspect of things, there's the fine line of an offensive lineman like engaging and like hitting another dude, and or D lineman and or tackling. Tackling is a whole different animal as well. So yeah, like you'll see again, like a Dan Campbell, he's had, just the battle of attrition for the Detroit Lions, I think, has cost them opportunities to represent the NFC in Super Bowls, because they just work. And it's like guys just start to get beat down, and you get into a game, and yeah, you are physical, but it then backfires, and you're the one wind up getting hurt. So it's such a fine line. And then the thing is, what are you doing as a pro / organization to bring in people that can help you recover faster? And that's my biggest issue. And that's kind of why I do missile training. It's because you should have healers. I'm not talking about just having some trainer or some doctor. No, you need a healer. You need guys that understand how to help with the connective tissue, with the soft tissue, with the myofascial trigger points, helping release that, helping getting good nutritionists, understanding there are some tools that are out there that can help your guys, whether it be photobiomodulation, whether it be hyperbaric chamber work. There's frequency specific microcurrent. There's a multitude of things that you should have at your disposal, chiropractic care, holistic care, to help your guys physically recover so you can be at your best. And some teams, they do a great job of it. Other teams, they say they do a good job of it, but they don't necessarily implement it the way that they need to. So it's always something. To your point about Bill Belichick and about Tom Brady working really hard, here's one of the things from a Tom Brady aspect of things. Tom was always an outside the box thinker. Tom was always one of those guys where I'm going to eat right. I'm going to make sure I get recovery. That's why he had his personal guy always with him, helping him with his soft tissue and making sure that he was at his best. He even, I think at some point in time, there was like some drama and Tom couldn't bring his guy into the facility. So again, that's where you got to be an outside the box thinker. This isn't old school. You're trying to make multi-millions, and the owners are trying to invest multi-billions. And somewhere along the line, you got to learn to take care of what takes care of you. And there are ways in technology and understanding to get that. But some people, either they do it well or they go ahead and it's smoke and mirrors, and you wind up having a bad season either as an individual or as a team.
One of, I guess, the mottos today that we have is you have to do what works for you. What works for somebody else doesn't mean it's the same program that you have, but there are certain concepts that you can apply to recovery, putting yourself in a position to then have success. And, you mentioned Tom, or we both mentioned Tom here. Say what you want playing quarterback in the NFL. I know they changed rules. Doing it still to your 45 has been unheard of. Running backs are supposed to be in a decline when you pass your 30s. Who's a guy that takes care of his health very aggressively? Derrick Henry, who still looks like he ain't slowing down. You never know, but he's been redefining what it means to be a prolific back. And part of that is what he's doing for his training, what he's doing off the field, on the field, in the off season. All of it goes hand in hand, Q. So this is why you were the perfect guy to talk to about this. I honestly think we could go on and on about this for ages. And Q, I'm glad you're doing well. And I know we got to catch up more and more, but one more time, for people that want to get more of this information, if they're looking to better themselves, or any young athletes or any athletes that just want to learn more about how they can put themselves in a better position, where can they find you? And then, you're on TV too. You're staying busy. Where can people find you to hear more of your takes in the football world?
Yeah, so basically from the media side of things, you'll see me actually out at the castle on draft night. Myself, Alex Glaze, Grace Grill will be on WJZ. We'll have literally throughout the night. We're going to do a purple takeover, so you'll see me there on WJZ. Check us out there. I'll probably be filling in for Torrey Smith on the Purple Playbook show. During the year, I'll be on Purple Pregame, every game, every Ravens game, breaking it all down. And then again, like I said, missile training. Missile training is about the non-traditional approach to bettering yourself with human movement and sports performance training. It definitely is something that I have a passion for. Doesn't matter the age. It's about your understanding of how you can move better, better express yourself as an athlete, better express yourself as a person who might just be going day to day and trying to live without pain and or restrictions. Missiletraining.com. Interact with me over there. Love to check you out. And of course, got my podcast on the Locked On Ravens. We got our squad show, myself, Sam Njoku, Kevin Allstriker as well. And we just have a lot of fun.
Yeah, you were staying busy, man. You're moving and grooving. And Q, we appreciate you. And one of these days, I know we keep saying it, but it would be good content. And I might be careful for what I wish for, but you will have to diagnose my running form here in a little bit. But we'll save
Absolutely.
that for a different time.
We'll make that thing happen. And right now, I'm going to be analyzing some young ladies that are trying to get themselves faster and better movers.
Hell yeah. Well, Q, I appreciate you. You enjoy the rest of your Friday. Have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you soon, all right?
Absolutely. Appreciate you, Ryan.
Thanks, Q, everybody. I knew he was the guy we needed to talk to today.
The perfect guy.
Perfect guy. This is right down his wheelhouse. And if you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button, Ryan Ripken Show. We do this live Monday through Friday. But the reason why I thought Q was great is, one, you've walked the walk, you've talked the talk, you've played in the old school generation, but his dedication to your body and performance and recovery is unmatched. It truly, especially in this region, he's such a resource. And I thought he did a great job of explaining the fine line. And I think that was something that, even for me, was enlightening. Very insightful. So appreciate Q. And man, he's staying busy. We appreciate all of you, and we appreciate CQ. Better?
Yeah,
better.
I said we're getting there. It's slowly getting there.
Oh, sugar, man. Good stuff. Good stuff. We've had a good show. We've had good people. There is one more piece that I wanted us to talk about to close out this Friday. And also, I got a bone to pick with Mark Trumbo still. We got a
crazy stray coming out.
Crazy. But you know what? He's a good kid sometimes. One thing we did want to talk about is, we're doing work with the UFL for the year, as you guys have probably noticed. The DC Defenders are playing down this Saturday against the St. Louis Battlehawks, and we've had guests on from the Defenders, but this guest that we're actually going to show you a clip from, this one's a little bit different because not only are the DC Defenders playing the St. Louis Battlehawks, it's who they're specifically playing that makes this fun, at least in this case. It's Hakeem Butler. And if you're wondering the name, Hakeem Butler, wide receiver out of Ohio State, 4th-round pick of the Arizona Cardinals, a lot of injuries, bounced around, and he's been in the UFL now the last few seasons. But where is he from? He's from Baltimore, Maryland. He's from here. He is a huge Baltimore sports fan, and I mean huge. But he's also gone through quite a bit. So one of the clips I want to play here, and Zach, I'm about to pull it up, is Hakeem brought up how much he loves the Ravens, how much he loves Baltimore and growing up, but also he talked about the hard, tragic moments he had as a kid. He lost his mom when he was 16 years old and how he pushes through. So I think you're going to get a little bit of a clip here of Hakeem Butler talking about his Baltimore roots and how he dealt with the tragedy of losing his mom at such a young age. So I'm going to play that clip for you guys all right now.
Ball, maybe I forget it was in Northwood, man. I remember that was first time playing basketball. That was crazy. Eastside Raiders, don't even remember where we played at, but I remember that was the first time I played football, and I told my mom, I was like, I'm never doing this again. This is not for me. Man, when it comes to more sports, a lot of heartbreaks, man. A lot of heartbreaks. A lot of heartbreaks. I can name players I hate in Baltimore. I can name players I love. But, I mean, big thing, honestly, I remember Joe Flacco when he first got there. And then I got to – funny thing, I love Joe Flacco. Great quarterback. Like, I always say he's forever good in Baltimore with me. I got to play with him when I played for the Eagles, and that was just a crazy feeling. Like, I'm like, man, you don't even know I love you. Like, I'm just sitting next to him every day, keeping it casual, texting my sister, like, guess who I'm at work with? Man, that was crazy. Ray Lewis, and he's obviously all the Ravens wins, man. Just there's so many sports memories I can point out from Baltimore. I remember frowned upon, but I remember skipping school. I was in high school, skipping school to go to the Orioles opening day, man. That was crazy, man. But I love that stadium, just everything about it. Army-Navy game, I can remember my cousin taking me to M&T Bank, and we got lost for hours on the walk back home. But I was like, I'm gonna play in the stadium one day. Like, I'm gonna make it to the pros. But I have so many memories. I could sit here and talk Baltimore for hours.
Well, I think we might have to have that. When you come back here, we got this studio space. We can reminisce. You have even more of a homecoming.
Absolutely.
And the reason why I knew I'd love talking to you is you do have a lot of pride for where you came from. So just probably every hometown, but I know people are from Baltimore, and you have these deep-rooted stories. And you mentioned an opening day, and also, by the way, I can't tell you how many opening days I missed or school days I missed with opening day. It was a ridiculous amount. It's national holiday, so don't feel bad about that. Like, hey, that it's special, and the city embraces it. They embrace the Ravens. They embrace the people from there, and they also love to know how they're doing as they continue the journey. And I love the fact you got to play with Joe Flacco. I mean, Joe's awesome.
I love Joe.
I love he's still playing. I mean, do you have any Joe moment then, besides that you're sitting there not trying to fanboy over him?
Nah, not really, honestly. Like, he's just like growing up, they always called him Joe Cool.
Yeah.
And just being a kid, I see all these stars, and just I'm like, man, like I gotta meet these people. And people say don't meet your heroes, and then honestly, but before I met Joe, I got to meet Anquan Bolden and Jamal Lewis because I was training in Florida for the draft. I was coming out of college, and mind you, I'm from Baltimore. Like, I don't really know. Like, I'm not used to this. Like, I'm from Baltimore, went to school at Iowa. Like, I walk in, like, got my bags. I'm like, hey, like, where's Tony? He's, like, the main guy. And I'm like, yo, who's this? Like who is this big guy? This big guy looks familiar. It's like Jamal Lewis. I'm like, yo, I love you. Like, you have no idea. Like, I love you, bro. And then I, like the guy, Tony Villani, he's, like, the trainer in XP in Florida. And he's like, yeah, your receiver coach is over there. I'm like, yo, it's Anquan Bolden. Like, bro, I love you too. Like, I'm like every word he says, like, I'm just like, anything you say, I'll do. Like, I'll run through a wall if you tell me to. But nah, man, Joe is Joe Cool for sure. Like, he is always chill. If I happen to not know a route or something, I'm like, oh, what I got? He's like, do this. Like, this is mind blowing to even be in the huddle with this man.
It's always for you, it's a full circle moment, but for all of us, that's when eventually you have that. My dad, when he played, which is a weird one for me, but it was not for that reason. But one of my dad's teammates now I do work with in media, which is really strange. When I was a kid, being in the locker room, I'm like, well, damn, this is really different, and we're having some different conversations than we once had when I was 7 and had blonde hair running around a locker room. But it was a full circle moment of, you know, his name is Mike Bordick, and Bordy treated me really well as a kid. And, you know, we have a good relationship now all these years later. And, you know, he's always fascinating to me. And obviously, you know, yours, for many reasons, I know Baltimore, you love it, but I know it's hard because you've gone through a lot.
Absolutely.
And, you know, for those that don't know, you know, you lost your mother at a younger age.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine. I've had friends in circumstances similarly, you know, for you, and especially with all of that, you know, for those that struggle with pain and tragedy, you know, what is something that you could shed a light on to showcase? Because whatever you did, you know, you did it so traumatically. You know, you were able to go and accomplish things and still are, but it doesn't make the road any easier.
Not at all.
With that.
Not at all. You know, dealing with that at a young age, that's not something I want for anyone, really. Just because, you know, I'm still in the developmental process of my own mind and emotions, and at that younger age, like, man, I just remember crying. I probably cried once for like an hour, and man, just kind of like shut that shit off for years. And honestly, because my mom, like, the way she always lived like there was no tomorrow. Like that's kind of the way I live, where I'm just like, I embrace every day, live it to the fullest. I don't let any opportunity go by. So whenever it is, you know, my time to sit down and I have kids and grandkids, and I'm like, man, I did it all, you know? And she was a strong woman to definitely support my sister, my little brother, and I. But she always said, give me my flowers while I can smell them, because, you know, you just got to appreciate people. You never know where they're going to go. And for me as a kid, I kind of tried to live with that, even at a young age, where I was just like, you know, like, she's not here, she's not on the ground, she's, you know, wherever she is, and I got to keep going. Like, no matter what, you got to keep going. Like, you can stumble, you can fall, but you got to keep going. And honestly, it's a good game plan for a second. Eventually, you have to handle these emotions, and I realized that as a man now. But as a child, I was just like, you just got to keep going. You know, life happens. But I struggle more so with those emotions of losing my mom, anxiety and depression when I was maybe about like 21, 22, rookie in the NFL. Just had a ton of problems at that time, got hurt as a rookie. And so it all kind of laid on. But I went to therapy, figured it out, talked out my emotions. And honestly, like, I'm in a much better place today than I've ever been, mentally, emotionally, where I can even sit here and express this to you. But losing your mom's tough, no matter what. Tragedy at a young age is tough. You got to have good people around you, and honestly, just keep going. That's a motto that one of my friends first told me a long time ago, and we just kind of say it back and forth. Just keep going. Like, I say that all the time. Just keep going. That's all you can do.
So that interview was about 40 minutes long with Hakeem, and that will be dropped later on so you guys can hear it. And when I say there's so much in that interview. If you're a Baltimore sports fan, you're going to get nostalgic over these moments and where you grew up. And if you want more of a real life conversation, you're going to have more moments like that, because Hakeem, coming out of the draft as well, you know, some people thought he's going to go in the first round, in the top rounds, and even he did. But then on top of it, he had been through so much before, and yet he's continuing to play, continuing to grind. And you talk to him on the confidence level, he thinks he's the best out there. And you know what? He's got to. And he's had a lot of success. He's coming off a huge week last week, and he has a huge group of people that are coming to the game down in D.C. when they take on the Defenders. He said about 50 ticket requests already just for family and friends, and there's dozens and dozens of more that are asking him. And so I just think that that's really cool. And so if you are interested, head on down, go support. The game is at 12:30. I believe it's on ABC, Zach. I got to check it's on ABC at 12:30 tomorrow. So if you can't make it to the game, tune in at 12:30. If you're interested in tickets, go to UFL.com or to Ticketmaster. So appreciate Hakeem. And he brought up some Stephen Hauschka memories, Zach.
I do still remember. I actually remember sitting in my freshman dorm at college and watching the NFL draft and watching Hakeem fall, because he was a guy where I was like, if he's on the board in the second round, the Ravens got to jump. Or I guess third round, they didn't have a second round pick because they traded it, get a guy named Lamar the year prior. So that happened. I just remember sitting there and I'm like, if he somehow makes it, like, they got to bounce. They got to do something. Like, they got to do something. And you just watched him fall and fall. And I remember being like, this guy, like, there was not a doubt in my mind he wasn't going to be a star. I still think, you see what he's doing now. Obviously, NFL career didn't go the way he had planned, but just the talent and just one of those guys that when you listen to him talk and you just hear him and hear what he has to say, you're just like, that guy rocks. Going through tragedy, dealing with that, and then being the guy he is now, being so open to talk about the struggles, to talk about when things didn't go well and all of that. Like, that was really cool. That was really cool. And I'm super happy for him, how he's doing in the UFL, and that we had him on and hoping for more success from him.
I do too. And the UFL has a lot of these types of stories where the play on the field, I think, has been really fun to watch and exciting. But I also love hearing the journey. When I started off in the media, if you followed me from the beginning, because I see Baltimore Joe in the chat, Joe was one of the first ones that saw me on the journey doing all script with Rip. And that was me talking with people about their paths. And Hakeem, he's been on a path. And it's been a journey. He still holds the record for most receiving yards in a single season at Iowa State with over 1,300. And it was that year. And you know who his quarterback was at that time, Zach?
Was that Purdy?
It was Brock Purdy.
No way. I guess I didn't even put that together.
Yeah, how about that, right?
Holy crap.
So in this interview, we go down a rabbit hole of all these parts. Even a visit he had with the Ravens going up to the draft, playing for Mike Tomlin in training camp, trying to make a spot. You'll have more of a respect even for Tomlin if you ain't a Steelers fan. It was pretty cool to go through with that. And we're going to have more of those stories that we're going to continue to add in here to the show. And we're going to add into Ripken Media as we continue to scale. And we're going to have some great guests next week, so stay tuned on that. We appreciate you, and we appreciate our community. If you're new to the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. Zach, am I missing anything on that?
Real fast before we get out of here, we do have today's poll talk. And today's poll was, should I make a poll? The answers were sure and nah, you forgot, no need to today. The winner was nah, you forgot, no need to today with 60%. And I also ended it the second it took the lead. So congratulations. There's your poll talk. There is your poll talk for this week.
Dude, you know what's going to happen? I mean, we've kind of talked about it. Also, Dad Rip's back.
This is just,
we're back.
What is going on?
Are you kids doing okay? I don't have kids. Just for the record, I don't have kids. Does it look like I'm in dad mode though right now?
Yes, it does.
This is a good stance. Hold on. Like right here. Hey, howdy. You know what I mean? No?
You look like you're going out on a golf trip. But
the glasses don't look as
no. Glasses kind of throw it off. Glasses on that looks.
We got the look down. Yeah. Hey kids. I mean, actually, Zach could. He actually can't be.
Not
be my child.
Yeah, I was gonna say not that big of an age difference.
Huge age difference. A little bit. It's been 84 years. I'm getting a little delusional. Oh, gosh. We got a lot coming your way here for the Ryan Ripken Show moving forward, and things that are going to be outside of the show. That's my only teaser at the moment. And what we've learned from deals, you can't talk about deals until they are done. CQR partnership is done there, but we got other things in store, and we can't wait to take you guys on the ride because we're just getting going here. But you guys rock, except Rocco. That dude sucks. Zach and I were so productive earlier on a call. And then this guy.
It actually is incredible. We were getting a lot done, planning stuff up. And then he just hops on the go. He's like, hello? Hello? Hey, can anyone hear me? I was like, we're like, Rocco, we are talking right now. What a guy. What a guy.
I wasn't happy about it.
You know.
He's a good kid. I don't care. Actually, no. Sometimes. But like literally that guy. And then he gets upset when, I said something about how people can handle themselves. And he said, that's not nice to say about Zach and I and the rest of us.
Yeah, he started throwing me in there.
And I go, Zach, are you offended? No, you're not, because you're comfortable that wasn't about you. You know that.
He took it. It wasn't even like you didn't direct it today when he was like, oh, you're going to call me and Zach that? And we're like, he didn't call. Why are you assuming it's about you, Rock? What a guy.
Yeah. I mean, was it about him? I mean, we'll never know.
Oh, my God. He's in the chat. Of course he is.
Well, Rock, hey,
don't do the crime if you can't do the time, Rock.
One day he'll be back on.
One day. Someday.
One day. All right. Anything else I got?
If you're in Colorado, you're watching this, and it's before the Dodgers-Rockies game, go to the game, $12 to get in, and it's literally snowing. So if you want to go see a snow game, go to the Rockies game or watch the Rockies game.
That's elite. Hey, you know what? I can't wait until – you know what? I was really happy that I remember that Mark Trumbo was calling me out. Now I'm a little bit pissed off.
Yeah, that was crazy.
I need that guy back on, and we're getting after it. We're going to get into a running competition. All right? Okay.
We good?
We're good. Cue it. I got some other news I got to go handle. As always, here on the Ryan Ripken Show, we appreciate each and every one of you. Have a day, have a night, have a great weekend. We'll be back Monday through Friday right here on YouTube, X, and Facebook. We got a lot of things in store. There's a lot more. Give us time. We will not have Rocco involved. See you guys.